Hello and welcome back. This is Dianne Legro, and I'm talking with Sandy Costa, author of Humanity at Work. Sandy is a speaker and a leader of many, many years and of many, many people with a font of wisdom to share with us about developing ourselves, developing our workforces, growing our profits by growing our people. So today, good morning, Sandy.
Good morning.
Good morning. You're talking to us about life's experiences, the value, the foundation of wisdom, having no substitute for that in your leadership style, and having people to praise that and treasure that in their own lives as they grow themselves. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about what you mean by that and how we can become more of what you're talking about?
Well, I think it is important. I think that we sometimes don't recognize that each of us is really a bundle of our life experiences. Another way to put it is that our life experiences are our story, and there isn't one of us that doesn't have a story. And when you look at this, there's a few different ways to kind of slice this up. The first one is to recognize that our life experiences are very, very important, obviously, in us coming to understand how the world works. And what I mean by that is, in my book, I talk about the fact that there are two types of knowledge, book knowledge, which I think we all know what that is, and authentic knowledge. And to me, authentic knowledge is the knowledge we get from our life experiences. I used to work with my dad during the summers. He had a business in the garment industry, and he had to leave school in his second year of high school when his dad died during the Depression. But he was a man of great wisdom and great learning, and it was really based primarily on the practical experience he had come up with through the years. And the way I look at it is, if you take this authentic knowledge, our life experiences, there comes a point where we're given the gift of understanding, and so we can understand the meaning of what's happening to us when something occurs. We can take more away from it than just the facts of the occurrence. And there comes a point when we start bundling up these experiences and this authentic knowledge, and it leads to insights. The Buddha said we should spend our lives harvesting insights. And then there comes a point in time where these insights give us wisdom. And wisdom is really a deep-seated understanding of how the world works. And you can only gain this through your life experiences. And that's why I tell people, if you have something happen during the day that isn't particularly helpful or isn't particularly pleasant in some ways, you can still say to yourself that you've just gained more experience that'll make you wiser through the years. Henry Thoreau, when he lived at Walden Pond, tells the story that behind the little shack he lived in was a large tree, and in the tree lived an owl. And he would go out at night and look up at this owl's face, and he said he appeared to have a wisdom clarified by experience, which I always thought was beautiful and speaks to this point. I think the other thing about experiences, and when we talk about people's stories, that it's very important, is that if you're dealing with someone, you have to recognize that when you speak to them, they are filtering everything you say to them through their life experiences. And I think when we have problems with people, subliminally we're saying to ourselves, I wish this person could be just like me. Well, get over it. They never will be just like you. In fact, it's
like
something
never.
Right. It's a scary proposition, but if you had exactly the same life experiences as I had, you'd be me. And what happens is we don't recognize this, and so you'll say something to someone, and they're filtering it through their biases, their prejudices, their things that have happened to them that ended up well, and other things that didn't end up so well. And Stephen Covey talks about this in one of his books. He says that if you're having a discussion with someone and it's really important, tell them it's an important conversation and ask them to play back to you what you just said. And I've done it, and of course you'll be shocked at what they say to you, because it's nothing like what you thought you were saying to them. And if you keep going through the exercise long enough and keep repeating what you want, the message you want them to get, there will come a point where they'll play back to you exactly what you said. And if it was something that was contentious, you'd be surprised how often they'll then say, oh, I don't have a problem with that, because they finally have a clear understanding of what you were saying. And so we have to recognize everyone has a story. And that story is also important in the context that if you're trying to get on with people and get them to be a member of a team and to work with you, you really have to take time to understand what their story is, to learn of their backgrounds and what they've been through in their lives, the good and the bad, to the extent that they'll share it. And it makes it much easier. It doesn't make it easy, but much easier than it would have otherwise been to work with those people. And when something happens and they don't agree with you, you can say, well, I could understand that. This person worked at another company where they did something similarly, and it didn't turn out well, but we're going to do it a little different, and we think it will. And so I think there's all different ways that our life's experiences are important to us, and I think there's just a few of them.
Oh, those are so helpful. It's so helpful because, as we know, emotions are messy. Unmet emotional needs, cause most of the problems at work. And we'll be talking about that right after this, about being emotionally competent as well. But this type of wisdom you're talking about and giving us tools to simply say, tell me back what you heard me say.
Right.
Really comes and cuts through what can be baggage, just like what you're talking about, the perceptions, the filters that one might not understand. It would be confusing. So excellent tip and ways to help us grow. I love your comment about the Buddha. Spend time harnessing insights.
Yes.
Leads to wisdom. Beautifully said. Thank you again, Sandy. And I want
my pleasure.
To know that, yes, our pleasure as well. And I want people to know they can find you, that you're at www.santocosta.com. And they'll be able to see that and read that, SANTOCOSTA.com, and your wonderful book. People are devouring this book for all of these reasons. We are hungry to learn how to become these things. The world is standing up for it right now. Well, people are standing up around the world in lots of situations, asking for more of this. Humanity at Work. Thanks again, Sandy. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Dianne.